Alrighty, looks like we're live. Let's try this again. Alright, so we are here doing part 2 update. I'm vertearbusto. This is Schumann Resonances with Verde. I'm your host, vertearbusto. So part 2 update. I got the garden behind me. I explained that more or less, the bioremediation of the garden, planting. We got mullein growing, daylilies. I think I explained about the Japanese knotweed. So this is the part where I explain about, talk more about losing my sight. And I still got light, I can still see stuff, but everything's a little bit fuzzy. I think that's the best way to put it. I'm having a hard time seeing detail. And I'm having a hard time seeing, I guess I'm sort of adjusting to it at this point, but I'm really having a hard time seeing details, like reading, right? I'm having a really hard time reading, especially small font. They gave me the eye chart at the hospital, and I could read the top line, which was the letter E, and I told the physician's assistant, that or nurse, that I could see him standing there. I could see him pointing to the third line, and then the second line, I said I couldn't tell you what the letters are. And they gauge your eyesight from 20 feet away. So 20/20 is, I guess they take a statistical analysis of a majority of people, and they test them, and the majority of those people see at 20 feet what, everyone sees at 20 feet, right? You see the same thing, right? So, but if you're hard of eyesight, hard of sight, then you're not going to be able to see in 20 feet. You're going to, like me, I got to scoot up half the distance to see the third line, and then, then I can, tell them what it was. So this is something that's recently happened. As I've been getting older, I've been noticing my eyesight has been getting, a little bit worse. It's getting a little bit, I've been needing reading glasses more often, right? So I've been progressively, over a number of years, I've been progressively changing up the magnification of the glasses I use, so that I can accommodate, the loss of eyesight that I kind of believe as I get older and I'm, whatever, exposed to more environmental factors, than which have had an effect on me. I believe getting older, and the Datura, that started the cascade, though. That really, I suppose I should talk about the Datura, because it's part of where, I'm trying to think of the year, it's part of where the downfall of my eyesight started going. And the Datura is also known as belladonna, and the reason it gets the name belladonna is because it widens the pupils. I'll just, back 100 plus years ago, women, or plus more, they took that because it made the, expanded the eye, what the fuck is that, the iris, or the cornea, and that was looked at as beautiful, and it killed you, and so the Datura is also known by other names, Jimson weed. It's also known as the devil's trumpet, which is kind of my favorite. The prickly pear, prickly apple. It's part of the nightshade kind of family, so it does well in the night. Which also gives you a clue that it's might be toxic. You know, the plants that strive at night are plants that work with the underworld, that work with the shadow side of the psyche, shadow side of reality, and they should be taken very cautiously as such. And generally speaking, the Datura, this is when I first came to Providence. So I'm going to say 2011. I came to Providence in 09 as part of the, almost immediately, pretty much immediately, as part of the garden community here in the city. And so the defunct garden group, the Fertile Underground, the Datura was one of the things I was growing in the garden. And there's the Datura is one of those things that should always be taken with something else. It's not necessarily toxic, but in the wrong, you know, and it can be. It does have that effect. The seeds, the bark, not the bark, I was saying the roots, the seeds, the roots, and the flowers all have a different compound to them. So depending on the season you harvest it can make a difference as to the toxicity level, okay? And what I'm gonna do is also, oh my God, I gotta take some of these leaves out. So in the background here, I showed you yesterday some of the garden space. So in the back of me here, this is one of those ones I've been tending, and there's a rose, little small rose that I got from the other job, the last job I was at, and transported it here. It was not doing, it was pretty much dying where it was because it was overgrown by all this other stuff, and so it was near death. So I brought it here and planted it there where we all can appreciate it. And so I got my first rose from that at the beginning of the year, and I was so proud. I was so proud. I was so happy with that. It looks, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful rose, and it deserves to live. And so right here in the middle of the, you know, the walkway, you know, it's all you can, you know, you can't really see much, but there's some, what the hell are they? Irises, I think they are. Yeah, the spiky leaf things, irises. I get those confused with the lilies, sometimes iris and orchids too. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So the in garden, yeah, this is kind of, you can see a few plants that I have kind of, have my signature on them. So that's one of the things that's kind of going is the growing, you know, I'm adjusting to having a hard time making out the detail, right? So the Datura, the Jimson weed, the devil's trumpet, all have, you know, different names. It's one of those plants that if you're gonna do it, it's a horrible way to, you know, if you want to use it to kill yourself, it's a horrible way to go, I assure you. If you're trying to do it to get high, it's kind of also an awful way to get high. You really need to mix it with things to kind of, I'll put it to you this way. The plants have a kind of an integrated, unified nature to them that if you're, what do I mean by that? That there are plants that are hard and plants that are soft and plants that are vines, and there are some plants that grow in, there are enough plants that grow in a harsh environment, so they have a harsh outer shell to them, but on the inside is somewhat like aloe is a good example. Maybe the fronds are pointy. It grows in a harsh environment, so it's got a like a prickly outside, and the inside may be tender, but there's a harsh, prickly nature to it if you don't mix it with other things that will offset it, right? I'll just say that. So The Datura is a harsh mistress, right? She should be, he actually, the Datura is a male plant. I call it she, but it's a male, actually a male plant. Because I call it a male plant in part because the plant demands a tribute for having taken it as an ally. Right? That's an important thing to understand, that the plants may offer you unconditional love, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a trade-off between you and your quest for knowledge, right? Something is going, you need to have something that you're ready to offer as a sacrifice. I'll just say that, right? Like Woden, there's the myth in the mythology, the mythos of Woden in his narrative. Woden sacrificed an eye to gain knowledge, and we see that time to time that that eye represents knowledge, and a lot of times it's hidden knowledge, right? That you need to be ready to lose your eyesight to an eye, well, at least one eye, to gain the knowledge and the understanding that you seek, right? I'll just put it that way. So the Datura, having taken the Datura, I'll say he is a harsh mistress, right? Harsh mister. And you need to be ready when you do these shamanic journeys that you can wind up stranded in some way, right? You could wind up half blind. You could wind up having lost a bit of your sanity, right? The life, how do I say this? The life that is that expression, the life that's unexamined is not a life worth living. Okay. And by that, when we talk about these shamanic experiences, taking a plant, all right, I want to, at that point, with the Datura, we're talking about, like 8-9 years ago, 10, I think, I forget what it was, but at the start of the journey of exchanging my eyesight for wisdom, knowledge, giving it to the plant, that's when, that's when, that widened thing, my eyesight never came back to what it was before, the acuity I had before. And that was the trade-off to that experience. Didn't give me what I wanted, took something, but that's not to say I didn't learn something and I didn't grow some way, right? So there's a, how do you say it? Is it alchemical? Is it folkloric? Is it, what's the word? I don't even know. There's probably some word that I don't even know the... All right, I think I'm back. All right, so I'm right here in the main, the main drag. This is downtown. This is where everything's happening. So you see a lot of people here that I know, and this is just, in generally speaking, this has been a wonderful experience. And even in so much as, oh, he's coming back. There we go. So, it's a wonderful place to be. So, the exchange of eyesight, or the exchange of a sense or senses for knowledge is kind of something that goes back a long time, right? This isn't something that's a brand new thought or consideration or experience or whatever, and the Datura was it was a lesson that needed to be learned and that needed to be understood by me. And it's part of, I think, part of people going on these immense spiritual journeys, or try to, they test the edges or whatever, like, which you might call a psychonaut, I think, the explorers of how far can you push the mind to kind of thing. I'm willing to admit we kind of do have some kind of a death wish. I think that's possible. But on the other hand, it's like this world is an illusion. It's a world of illusion. And honestly, the illusion, I'll just say this, I would rather kind of take my chances with death and find out where the edges are of reality rather than live an existence I know is fake. I'll just say that. I don't know how to say it otherwise. That I couldn't live knowing that this is all some level of illusion without trying to figure out what's of it is what's keepable and what's not going to last. Right? I don't know how to better put it. That as, how do I say this? The eyesight, and I know that parts of this are dark, parts of this you can't really make out the detail, and that's by intention, that's by design. I want parts of this to be in the shadow, so it's hard to see me, it's hard to see what's going on. Like, that is part of the effect I'm looking for of this, that to me, that like losing eyesight in exchange for a different vision, the inner vision, if you will, that the trade-off comes like I've already explained, how do I say this? I've already explained how the Schumann resonances work, like on more so on the Facebook group, but definitely in the YouTube. And they were always supposed to work together, that I have videos from one, on the lectures from the other, and blah, blah, blah. So I've given all the technical explanation ad nauseum, details, lots of details, lots of technical details, lots of understanding, lots of knowledge, lots of scholarship, 5 years worth of the technical understanding of how the Schumann resonances work. So much that you could spend a lifetime culling through what I wrote to get the deep understanding of how the graphs work and the antennas and all this stuff, right? So people, I think, someone might very well give up something to learn all that stuff because it's so detailed. I've done pages and pages, dozens and dozens of pages on how the technical aspects of the Schumann resonances and the graphs and all of that work. And so there's not more that I can really, I do learn a lot more about the technical, the teller recurrence and stuff, but at this point, the vision is toward understanding the seismic precursors of the VLF channel, right? That's a fascination. Anyway, I've given a huge degree of technical expertise and technical explanation on how this works, and deep, deep for free. And you're welcome to go through it and read it and highly recommend it. You can spend a lifetime learning how this stuff works and those technical graphs, and you probably should if you're into this. All right. I'm not going, even though I'm still learning stuff, I'm not profoundly learning more on the Schumann resonances. And so the journey there comes to a plateau. So for more knowledge there, I don't lose anything, right? I'm already at that point. Yet there's now this whole area of ascension as related to the Schumann resonances that has been misappropriated. That's important to give people the information relative to ascension, right? The evolution, the growth of the human soul, the growth of humanity as a whole. This idea of what really is the collective of humanity, and if there really is truly a collective to humanity. This is an important thing to discuss. So the technical aspects of the Schumann resonances, I got that. All right? I'm not learning more on that. However, there's a lot more to be said and a lot more to be explained relative to this whole ascension thing that is not directly associated with or caused by or related to even, I guess, the cause and effect of Schumann resonances with ascension, yet that doesn't mean it's not happening, right? This is the whole trick to this, that just because I might say, that the Schumann resonances are not causing, first off, they're not rising, and they're not causing your Schumann resonances are not rising, and incidentally or coincidentally, or maybe not even, they're also not causing your ascension symptoms. You yourself may not actually be ascending, right? Do you know what ascension really is? Right? So here, even though we don't have a learning curve to the Schumann resonances, there's this whole other aspect to this of the ascension symptoms that people believe are caused by Schumann resonances, and they're not. And that's one of the things that we are going to be talking about in the next few videos, is this idea of ascension and what it really is. And I don't know whether or not you are ascending, but let me explain more about it. And I haven't really discussed this much, but the last bits of writing that I've been working on, as I lost my sight, were all ascension related. And there's one five-section essay, which means it's long, that I posted on Facebook, that is talking directly about ascension and awakening as related to the Schumann resonances. And the fact of the matter is that they've been running a narrative on the New Agers and Ascensionists they've been running a narrative on the New Agers, giving them this kind of false technical understanding of the Schumann resonances based on a graph, a technical graph that they don't know how to read, right? So that's kind of like the irony, sort of, that even though I understand how to read it already, I get to lose my sight So even though I know this already, I'm not kind of learning anything. I don't follow it like other people do. I lose my sight to be able to pick out the details in the graph. However, the gain is in the spiritual understanding of how truly to explain this properly to people who are on that pathway. It's difficult to undo what's already been done once the damage is done, right? You get it. The people in this, the New Agers, I'm calling them. I don't mean to be mean, but whatever, it is what it is. Not a better way to explain it. The New Agers are coming into this who think that the Earth's frequency is rising, and as such, our frequency is rising, and it's somehow fiddling with our DNA and all of this kind of narrative that is based on alleged facts that are not actually facts. For example, the Earth's rising frequencies that aren't actually rising. Right? And so part of the journey is awakening. The first step to awakening is to the understanding of where you're being misled. Right? And if your narrative is requiring you to understand science and understanding a technical graphs and stuff, you need to know how to actually decipher them properly. You can't shortcut this to get your narrative to work and expect that it's actually something that's meaningful, that it actually exists. If you need to mismanage and mangle the facts so that your narrative works, like for example, misunderstanding the difference between a decibel reading and a frequency, that they're not the same and you can't look at them as being the same, they're not interchangeable. If you don't understand that basic fact, that first basic fact of it, and you're trying to run the frequency game that the Schumann resonance's frequency is rising, when you're looking at the amplitude report on there, then you have a big problem. Nothing else after that is going to be correct, right? And this is something that needs to be stated. This is something I need to make a video on, that I get a metaphysical view of the Schumann resonances. I assure you of that. I have a spiritual view of them, but it doesn't mean they're causing anyone to ascend of itself. You need to do the work. That's all there is to it. And if you don't do the work, you are not going to get the results you believe you are, and you're not going to get any results, right? The Earth isn't doing it for you. The Sun isn't doing it for you. It's difficult here. You made the agreement. You're going to do it for yourself. That's the work. That's the difficult work of being here, being in Earth, is that there's an element of the collectiveness of a community where we support each other, right? But that mutual support does not, of necessity, extend to the whole entirety of the globe. And there is no collective in such that we're all one block and it's all going to happen as one big mass of humanity at one time. Like, that's not what it's about. Individual choice and self and free will and personality and all that stuff requires you to make a conscious, willful decision that you are going to be on that pathway. It's not an accident. It's not something that just simply because you're born now you're entitled to it, that you're automatically going to level up simply for being alive, ... because Schumann resonances, or the Schumann is rising, and Earth's frequency is rising, and it's going to bring in a new Earth and 5D, and your DNA is somehow now silicate based, and I don't even know. I can't even follow the majority of these ascensionist claims, because it's based on a science that is not, like, it doesn't exist. It's like a Star Trek science with the dilithium crystals and the, the flux capacitor and all this kind of stuff, right? So, all right, so I can see I'm at 30 minutes. Either I'm adjusting to it or my eyesight is getting better. I don't know what. But as all of you recall, the J3 has like a 33-minute max. So I try to aim for 30 to 33-minute videos, just because that's where the max is at. So I'm at 30 right now. So this is a good place to end the video. And there's getting to be a lot of traffic. It's getting to be night. It's getting to be difficult to see. I got to go get my coffee and then post this somewhere. I'll probably go into the bar and post it there. And maybe play some pool while I'm waiting. So anyway, this is the first part of this. I guess I really want to talk more about losing my sight, I think, and kind of how I feel about it. I feel scared, but not really scared. Fear isn't the number one thing going on in my head. Sadness, frustration. Okay, I didn't pause it. So fear, sadness, frustration, it's all in there. And I get to talk more about that just because, y'all want to know how I'm doing, and this is my update, and that would be the update on how I'm doing. So on that cheery and wonderful note, this is signing off from downtown in the middle of all the traffic. Hopefully you can understand all that, and I know I can speak loudly, and so I'm close enough to the microphone. I'm hoping you can hear me over the traffic, but if you can't, let me know and I'll translate what I was saying. So anyway, on that cheery note, I appreciate everyone, all of you being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.